Hi and welcome along to another video. While I'm waiting for some bits and pieces for that Invicta valve radio that I've been working on, and yes, I've still got to do that, and I've got to do that great Chanson transistor set. I thought we could have a look at this. I picked this up the other day and I think it's quite a rarity. Now this is a Roberts RFM3 from sort of the late 80s through to the early 90s. This one's dated 1988 on one of the chips, so somewhere around then. Now this one's finished in a charcoal grey cotton, rather like a pair of schoolboy trousers, and I've never seen another one like it, and I can't find any images of any more on the internet. Now I know they did offer these in various other colour options, in leather cloth and I believe in suede as well, but as I say, I've never seen one in grey cotton, and I think it's original. If you look at the quality of the stitching on the handle here, it's just too good, and inside as well, as you'll see, it's all stuck down nice. There's no traces that anything else has been on there, so I think this is absolutely original. I don't know an awful lot about Roberts sets. Hopefully someone will tell me if this grey cotton is definitely original and how rare it is. It didn't cost a lot of money, but at least it's been saved from landfill. It is missing one of the tops here from the push button, but not a problem. I can easily find another one. One big fault it has got is I think it's been dropped at some point. If you look at the bottom, you can see there's a bit of an angle there. If you look at the side, you can see it's popped out a bit. Well, you could there. So one easy way to get an RFM3 chassis out is to go Roberts radio, Roberts radio, Roberts radio, and it just comes out like that. Now I don't know if you can see down there, but there's a nasty crack in there. Let me pull it a little bit. You can see that crack in the teak down here, and it closes up, and the back part here has sprung a little bit as well. So what I'm going to do is get some clamps up and clamp it up, put a little bit of glue, wood glue down it. It's actually glue and nails in there, and then we can move on to cleaning up the cloth and the bright work here, which is a little bit grubby. So I'm going to do that now. Now, having a look at the chassis itself, it's sort of a traditional Roberts transistor set of, you know, late 60s through to the 80s. In its upper sort of chassis works, but it's got a rather rotten Chinese PCB on it, and one of those polyvaricon tuning caps, which if they get any dust in them can cause a bit of trouble. The set does actually work. It's a bit crackly and a bit, how can I say, the tuning needs to be spot on FM. The band pass is not very wide on FM at all. Very peaky. So and one more issue is the board itself is quite loose, as you can see, but the switch bank, you can move the switch bank screw here is loose, so I need to take the dial face off and screw it back down. But other than that, it's not bad, just that missing bright on the end there. Right, so let's get the case glued and clamped. Right, the case is all been clamped, glued and clamped up. We're going to have a look at this board now. It's quite a simple board and rather yucky actually. There's a chip on the side, that's the FM chip. You've got the AM radio circuits on that chip there, and the audio amplifiers just there. with all the capacitors around it. You've got DC power in here, in there, 9 volts, and that's coming in on these two with your switch on the red one. The first thing I'm going to do, because I've got this very wobbly PCB, because it's not, the screws haven't been tightened up properly on the switch bank here, so I'm going to pull the knobs off. Take the tuning scale off and just tighten these screws here. And while we're in, we're going to clean out all that lovely dust. There's the board in all its glory, cheap as chips. And there's that polyvaricon capacitor, which can give lots of crackly noises. Right, here's the case all glued up again and nice and square again, or nice and true. Had to put quite a bit of pressure in to bring this back panel in, and the covering here had popped out because it had been pushed out and then rode over this plastic rubbery strip here, so I've had to pull that out, and in doing so I've lost about 2 or 3 mil, and I've just re-pinned it there, and now it's on top of the covering, so you know, the edges of the covering aren't actually showing anymore. Now the case, as you can see, I reckon this was used in the kitchen or something, because it's fairly dirty and grubby. So I'm going to get some wipes and just try and clean this off, not using very wet stuff, and I'm going to cover all of the cloth so hopefully it'll dry at the same rate. Yeah, this is just like where people have been prepping food or something and pick the radio up. It's just finger dirt, there's hardly anything coming off, it's not particularly dirty. Where it will be a little dirtier is on top here, where the dust falls down between the dial face. Yeah, it's a little bit dirtier on top here, but most of this is just food residue, I would think. Some form of dirt. There's a bit of paint spotting, but not bad. Pick that off my fingernail. Maybe not. On that one. Yeah, it's just coming straight off. That is a little bit dirtier on the back there. So I'm trying to get this evenly wet, if that makes any sense, or evenly damp. These are not particularly wet wipes. So I'm going to put my fan on a minute and just let it dry, and then we'll see where the worst bits are. It's still a little bit dirty, and the handle here has got a nice bit of dirt on it. I was quite surprised this hasn't faded in the sun actually. The colour here is broadly speaking the same colour as the front here, and that's quite unusual to get like a light fast cloth. Whether they did use one, I don't know, but yeah. So that's obviously a little better. There's still a bit of food residue on the front here, so what I would usually do, rather than keep getting this wetter and wetter, is go under a loop, wherever that's gone, and a pin or something, and start picking the worst of it out of the gaps. But I'm going to let it dry under the fan and see where the worst is. I know there's a nice bit of paint there, which I'm going to have to pick out. You can see the tiny little speaker in these sets. That is looking better already. Just let that dry for a bit. So this is what I mean here. There's some little specks that are still firmly stuck even after washing. So I'm using this very pointed probe here that you get with a set of soldering tools. I'm just going to try and pick it there. It's come away. And there's another little bit right on the corner here. Probably won't be able to pick that up. But that's all I'm doing. So just pressing in the centre, just removing it, and then just getting a toothbrush and wiping it over again. And there, gone. That's just one of the things you're going to let the set dry, or the case dry, and then you'll find little spots, like there's one just there as well, so I'm going to pick that off as well. So there we go, the case is looking all clean, got all the paint off that bottom edge there, that just flicked off, and looking much better now. Now I'm going to do these teak ends. Just going to take a bit of scouring pad and just some of the infamous magic juice and just clean these ends up. I'm actually going to put a bit on this handle because it looks covered in grease, but that might be best done separately. These handles are retained by Starlock washers, which are an absolute pig to get off. You can see the state of my fingers here actually. Let's get a nice clean look. That just might be the stain they've finished actually, some of that, but it's looking pretty grotty. I'll just do the end bit as well. There's some embedded paint in the end here, just up the end, just there, which is no longer embedded paint. And then the other side, and this has got some sort of grease stain or something there, which isn't coming off. That is very tough, whatever that is. there's some sort of residue or something on these cap ends, so that'll need some metal polish on it. Just, I don't know if you can see that. It's not pitting, there's like a oil or something that's gone really hard on it. You can see that patch of, I don't know what that is, but it's not coming off, so hopefully that might come off when I sand it slightly. So let's let that dry. Right, here we are. I've not done much to the circuitry. There's not a lot wrong with it. I've tested all the capacitors, they all seem fine. Now Roberts, or this particular Roberts, has got a negative centre pin. So some people shove a positive centre pin 9V DC supply up it and it fries the audio chip. So all I've done is put a little simple mod in the negative lead. I've put a diode in the negative lead there, just there. So in future, if I or anyone else should choose the wrong power supply, it shouldn't fry the audio chip. And that's it really. I've just put a little bit of switch cleaner in the volume control and a bit in the switches here. These are sealed units, so you can't really get it in there anyway. So that bit's done. All we've got to do now is put some oil on the side here and put it back together. Now it cleaned up fairly well. I've got most of the grubbiness off, and yeah, just a little bit of fettling to do, like polishing up this. You can see it's almost two colours of plastic here. I don't know what's happened there. So I don't put too many fingerprints on it, but I'm just going to go and put some Danish oil on the ends there. Just a little run through of that idiot diode mod I put in the RFM3. Now, like a few other Roberts radios, the RFM3, if you were to put a DC power supply, it's got a negative centre pin. Now most shop bought Walwarts power supplies will have a positive centre pin, and you can kill the RFM3 quite easily. And you can also kill it by connecting up your 9V battery the wrong way around with the set on as well. So to try and prevent death, we just put a diode in. Now we've got 9V coming into the AV meter here, just straight through, and we're going to connect, if we can connect it up properly, we connect this one N407. Now you will have a bit of voltage drop here, about half a volt voltage drop on the one N407. And if we connect it the other way around, we should see absolutely no voltage being passed through the circuit at all, so it's blocking. Now to get over the voltage drop, you could use a Schottky or a germanium diode, but that's just over 8.5 volts, so very little, and it'll protect your set as well, this modification. Right, here's the RFM3 all finished, well, almost finished. I'm still missing a push button bright there. I've got another couple of spare radios coming that I'm going to rob one of, but that's it for now. So let's give it a little listen, see what she sounds like.
Join me at 12:15. Don't complain.
You and Yours was presented by Charival and produced by Pete Wilson. Sarah Montague has the latest on the showdown between Parliament and the President, or Prime Minister even. First, though, time for the lunchtime weather with Chris Fox.
Thanks a lot, VG. And a quick word on Hurricane Dorian, which is pummelling the Bahamas at the moment. Now, at its peak...
It sounds really nice, and the volume's not very far up. So, a lovely sounding little set. Now, all I've done to it was give the cheek ends one coat of Danish oil and then buffed it up. I'm not looking to get a high gloss finish in there. And then I've cleaned, if you remember, these strap ends were covered in like olive oil or something like that that had gone really hard. So I made myself up a wire mop out of wire wool. So I've just got a mandrel, and then wrap some wire wool around it to make a little wire wool mop, and then put that in my rotary tool. If you're going to do that, do it outside. Don't do it over your electronics workbench like some idiot did behind the camera here, who was then faced with hoovering up all his workbench and all the floor and everything, because there was bits of wire wool, little strands absolutely everywhere, like an idiot. Anyway, so that brought up those end caps really well. I also ran it up and down the aerial a couple of times as well to bring that up, and that end button on the aerial, that was also very, very tarnished, and that's brought that up really well, got all the little scratches out of it. So that's it for the RFM3. I might show you it's complete again, or when it's, sorry, I might show you when it's complete again with that last little bright there. But yeah, thanks for watching.